Scully, it's 12:39 p.m. on the 30th of March, 330 on 222. 330-2022. 6 on both sides, which is 1 plus 2, 3, 6 and 6. And then look at the time, Diane, Dana, Scully. 12:39 time I arrived, or that's when I bought the ticket over there to park here for $8 frackin' dollars, which is the frackin' cheap rate, Dana, because I'm got Massachusetts frackin' license plates here. Someone's rocking and rolling over there. AC/DC, is that who that is? Look at this, Diane. 12:39 p.m. 1 and 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6, plus 9 is 15. 6 on a 6 day. 33222. 6, 6. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs, Dana. Does that mean I'm the... Oh my goodness, am I not Fox Mulder? Am I the beast of the apocalypse? Or the number of a man? Well, man, as we know, Dana, is a carbon-based life form, and carbon 12, the atom, is constructed of 6 protons, 6 electrons, and 6 neutrons. So there you go. And then you factor in the secret geometry of the red blood yellow sun of life, or light, with the 360 degrees, 3, 6, 360. I hope they don't give me a frackin' copyright for that Aerosmith blasting in the background. Woo! We're not going to talk about Judy at all. For what is most of our boasted so-called knowledge? This is Walking by Thoreau. Here we are at Walden Pond. About to go for a walk at Walden, walking with Thoreau here. I'm going to go way back to the 19th century. For what is most of our boasted so-called knowledge but a conceit that we know something which robs us of the advantage of our actual ignorance? Ignore ants. Like ignoring the geoengineering elephant in the sky. Everyone looking up today, you look up and look at those fake streak clouds up there, okay? Because they're infused with metals. Medical metal particles that everyone is breathing in. Aerosol dispersed, nanoscale particulates, highly toxic, lethal, a cocktail of that's raining down into our breathable air column of aluminum, manganese, lead, strontium, barium, or is it borium? Barium? Barium. Not borium. We have heard of a society for the diffusion of useful knowledge. It is said that knowledge is power, and the like. Methinks, people used to say that in one word. That used to be something you could write and begin a sentence with. Methinks, Dana. Methinks there is equal need of a society for the diffusion of useful ignorance. What we will call beautiful knowledge, in all caps, BK, beautiful knowledge. A knowledge useful in a higher sense. For what is most of our boasted so-called knowledge but a conceit that we know something which robs us of the advantage of our actual ignorance? Think about that, please. What we call knowledge is often our positive ignorance. Ignorance, our negative knowledge. I have only come here seeking knowledge of things they could not teach me of in college. I can see the destiny you sold turn into a shining band of gold. I'll be wrapped around your finger, Corona, ring. but by long years of patient industry and reading of the newspapers, for what are the libraries of science but files of newspapers? A man accumulates a myriad facts, lays them up in his memory, and then when in some spring of his life he saunters abroad into the great fields of thought, he as it were goes to grass like a horse, and leaves all his harness behind in the stable. I would say to the Society for the Diffusion of Useful Knowledge sometimes, go to grass. You have eaten hay long enough. The spring has come with its green crop. The very cows are driven to their country pastures before the end of May, though I have heard of one unnatural farmer who kept his cow in the barn and fed her on hay all the year round. So frequently, the Society for the Diffusion of Useful Knowledge treats its cattle. Let's go walking with Thoreau. I remember when I was way back in my adolescence, I was at a party when I was with the Trisha Marie, I won't say her whole name. I mentioned Thoreau. That's when I was 11th grade English with Mr. McLaughlin. Here is an Irishman who talked like this, who would say, "I'm smiling on the inside." He looked very miserable, but underneath that facade was this robust humor. Really, like, just that's and so I'm grateful for having had that class in the K through 12 hogwash programming. Kindergarten. The state tells you they're taking you and putting you into a kindergarten for K through 12, the Prussian system. I gotta take my treats with me, my little fig balls here. Figments of my imagination and yours. Figures. So I wanted to just thank Mr. McLaughlin and thank God for letting me have that class in English junior year, because boy, Mr. McLaughlin introduced me to the Transcendentalists, to Thoreau, to Whitman, to Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson's Self-Reliance. I'd never heard of any of that, or maybe I had heard of it, but I hadn't been forced to study it until 11th grade. And I didn't really study it too much. But Mr. McLaughlin was amazing, because most of the time you'd arrive in his class and he wouldn't start right when you were supposed to. He wouldn't let you leave when the bell rang, because he didn't want you to be conditioned by external stimuli, like a Pavlovian dog, who's been victimized by behaviorism. So anyway, I'm just very grateful to have had him and to have been introduced at least to this. So you'd arrive in his class and he'd have you do free writing almost all the day. He'd give you a piece of paper, or tell you to take out a piece of paper and just write. And I'll never forget the time that I forgot about the assignment, which was to come in with a poem about mortality. And I remembered in homeroom that I hadn't got one, so I just whipped one up, improvised something myself, and read it in front of the class. And I will never forget how I started. It was a question: what occurs to one's soul after death? And then the answer is not known. Many theories are in existence, none of which can be proven as fact. That was 11th grade, and there's a little more to it. I don't remember the rest of it. Not really a poem per se, but I tried to pass it off as one. So I read it, and Mr. McLaughlin, he said, after the bell rang, we're all sitting there and we had to wait for hhim to tell us to go, and he said, "Mr. Grant, please approach my desk. Are you okay? There's nothing I have to worry about?" Because of the nature of I probably looked more miserable than him. And, with what I had written, he was concerned that I wasn't, because of what I wrote, or, whatever, that I might, I know what it was, that I had written that if the answer had been, I've speculated or put it out there that the reason it's not known what occurs to one's soul after death is that suicide would be the solution, because everyone would know that it's not the end of them, so the fear of what would happen to you wouldn't be part of the equation. So you just jump right off the bridge because, hey, you don't fucking die, right? But so I put that in there, if the answer was known, people would be, suiciding like crazy or whatever. But I just, like I said, I didn't think about it. I just whipped it up because I was in homeroom and I had to go to that class without the assignment. And I thought, oh, he won't mind if I write my own because he's the free writing guy. And he might, I might get an A+ for actually doing. So anyway, but he actually took it as like that just because the word suicide was in what I read. I think he was just doing his, covering his ass, making sure that I wasn't going to go jump off of any bridge or some shit off of the Golden Gate, even though it was in Swampscott, Massachusetts, not in San Francisco. So Dana, let's stop this jibber jabbering here in the car and get the frack out there, because that's what we came here for. Oh, why is this turned that way, Diane? I'm gonna stop and start over. See you in a minute.